Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Earth's Mightiest Gyros podcast. Now, what this podcast is effectively it's a way of opening up the geek community. You know, people who are into things like anime, video games, superhero movies. I think occasionally, like when there's news for Star Wars, we'll talk about that. So all that sort of geekdom stuff. That if you take part in it, we want you to feel involved. Now, we've got that formality out of the way, let's just go into who we are. So my name is Ijaz. I'm currently a third year chemistry student studying at UCL. Not entirely sure what I want to do with my life after that, but I'm only young, 20 years old. Who does? And this is my co-host. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello there, I'm Rafi. I am a construction site manager, a trainee. I'm currently in my second year of uni. Got about 3 years left of that, and like it as I do have a career sort of plan lined up, but I'm still clueless on what I want to do in life, so that's great. So yeah.
I mean, no one really knows whatever they want to do for life.
Exactly. Everyone's just going up a road which has no end.
It's a roundabout path. Yes, that was a JoJo's reference. So, what we'll be doing this week now, generally speaking, the format of the show will be, we round up news for each of those topics and give you guys the rundown of what's been going on in that world. But as this is our first episode, we just want to take the time to introduce ourselves, tell you about those particular topics, what our favorite things about that are. Just to let you guys know what kind of people we are. So we're going to be starting off with the topic of video games. So we're just going to be running through our top 5 favorite video games of all time. Obviously, we're not counting every single video game that's ever existed. I think out of the two of us, only Rafi's played every single one of them. He's got that much free time on his hands, so I, unfortunately don't. But yeah, so we're just going to rotate between telling our number 5s, number 4s. It's going to go that sort of format. And whatever numbers come before that, we're not very good at that sort of stuff. So
we only played 5 games in our life.
Yeah, exactly. We're kind of broke. That's why we're doing this. So, my 5th favorite game of all time is Assassin's Creed 2. Now,
AC2 at number 5.
AC2 at number 5. That's right. Now, the reason I'm picking AC2 is because Assassin's Creed 2 was one of the games that made me kind of realize what type of games I really like. Third-person action adventure games that focus really heavily on story. And there is not a single game, right, that has hooked me story-wise like Assassin's Creed 2 has. Just the story of Ezio Auditore is one of the most fascinating things I've ever played through in my life. And the fact that it's such a long playtime through the game, I think I could put 30 to 50 hours trying to beat the game. And how the ending of the story of this game in particular is so cathartic from where you start. Because, I don't know, something about Ubisoft back then, before they started rinsing and repeating everything, right?
Before Tom Clancy started just pop up in every flipping game franchise they ever owned.
Oh my god, it's
Tom Clancy's The Raving Rabbids or some shit.
Oh my god, don't even get me started on that shit. But yeah, it was one of the best, most riveting story experiences that I've ever had personally. So, if I was to give the game a rating out of 10, that would be an easy 8.5 to 9 out of 10. Obviously because it was on Xbox 360, graphics weren't perfect, but and there was a lot of glitching, but still, it's a game that I'm very thankful that my friend loaned me and that I was able to play through and experience. And again, it basically told me the type of games I really like to play. Now, over to you, Rafi.
I just want to talk about AC2 for a little bit as well. AC2, that game. Did you play AC1, the Altair one? Because I had no knowledge on AC.
No,
and
AC2 was actually my first Assassin's Creed game.
Same with me. Yeah, my brother bought AC2, and we were just like, oh, this game looks cool. Some dude in the hood goes around killing people, and you hear all this I was only 11 at the time, so I wasn't. There's a thing with the story, but the whole religion aspect of AC2 and all that shit with Juno and whatnot, that was kind of weird to see as a kid because I don't know what the hell's going on. But yeah, AC2 It's always a great game. Probably my second favorite AC title.
Okay.
But with my number five, it's quite different. It's quite a high game to have at number five. It's Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask.
Oh,
So
I had a feeling.
my
I had a
first.
feeling it was going to be a Zelda game, but yeah, go ahead.
Normally, people. This game was like, if not my second favorite game until I played the later three games in 4, 3, and 5, 4, 3, and 2. Sorry, but yeah, Majora's Mask. My first actual Zelda game was Oracle of Seasons on the Game Boy Color. I didn't even get into proper 3D Zelda games until I bought my 3DS and played Ocarina of Time. And then that game was like, I heard that was the first 3D game. It was like one of the, it was usually just like, if not the best game of all time because of how innovative it was. So that game was cool. I loved Ocarina of Time, but then Majora's Mask, the sequel, which I bought on I think it was on the Wii or Wii U. I bought it on. It was just way darker, and I'm into more like dark, edgy shit. That's my vibe,
Oh,
dark and edgy and whatnot.
guys,
So
trust me when I tell you, when this guy talks edgy, it's like there is politically incorrect, and then there is just straight up illegal.
people call me the R-rated superstar, not the actual Edge.
Oh,
But
oh my god!
shout out to him coming back
You
from
watched the
Royal
Royal Rumble, right?
That was a sick moment hearing. Thing about that little segue. When Alter Bridge came out, it came out on this with their song Metalingus. Only a few months ago, I saw Alter Bridge live. So
No
if
way.
only I'd known that.
I'm-
Yeah, I saw them.
I didn't think they
December.
still. I thought they would have split up or something, because like
Nah, man.
a lot of those early 2000s bands really didn't last past a decade.
Alter Bridge is just one of the greatest metal acts. One of the most underrated, criminally underrated. They got no Grammys and shit. They came from the band Creed, and then Creed singer left, and then they found Miles Kennedy. But anyway, I'm segueing. So with Majora's Mask, because it was so much more dark, the whole there's all these like little stories about the actual stories behind the masks you wear, like the three main masks, the Goron mask, I forget what the creature's called. It's like the water things, and then there's the little tree things called the Deku trees. Now you know the stories behind the Goron and the other one, but with the tree mask, you never know who that tree is, and then you find out at the end of the game, your tree mask is the tree of a dead kid.
Oh
And
my!
it's just like, what the fuck?
Wow, that
You see at
really
the
is
end,
dark.
this dead butler tree praying to his crying at his kid, like dead body. It's like for a Nintendo game, that's kind of fucked up. But that's why I like so much about it.
Jesus.
And then you got the great Zelda combat, which people have chat shit about the Zelda combat, saying it's very you wait a lot. But I mean, I prefer the whole telegraph attacks, timing, and waiting to go in for the kill.
And the
sort of
grunting.
gameplay.
You can't talk about Zelda without talking about the grunting.
Hot, hot, hot! Yeah.
Better yet, the hey, look, listen.
Navi, I don't remember if Navi was in Majora's Mask.
No, Navi was a thing. The one on Wii.
That was Ocarina of Time. The one on Wii was Faye, I think her name was, on Skyward Sword.
Oh, was it?
The blue woman, I forget her name. Navi was Ocarina of Time, yeah.
It's been a long time since I played. No, I think I had Twilight Princess on Nintendo Wii, and we only ever used that to soft mod the Nintendo Wii.
Yeah, what was it like all the fucking action replay bullshit you could get on Wii? I forget. Well, I chipped mine.
Homebrew channel.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
But yeah.
that takes me back a while. But
That's why for number 5, yeah, Zelda Majora's Mask my favorite, because it's just the whole dark turn it took for the Zelda franchise. I mean, Twilight Princess tried to do a same sort of thing by being slightly dark, but I think Majora's Mask got it perfectly, the whole dark vibe. And you had the fierce deity, which is the coolest looking version of Link, I think. So yeah, that's my number 5.
all right,
Yeah.
solid pick. Okay, number 4. So for my 4th favorite video game of all time. Now this should come as no surprise to anybody who knows me, right? Who's followed me on Instagram, on Twitter, whatever. You know this was going to be on the list, and that's Spider-Man PS4.
Whoop. Great game.
Bro, that game. Now, I have not been that excited for a game since. I don't even know. I can't remember what game it was. I think it was Smash Brothers Brawl on the Nintendo Wii, where I was so excited for that game to come up. But so yeah, a whole generation of gaming had essentially come and gone before I had felt that level of excitement for a game. Because again, 3D third person action adventure game. Really, really good story, and phenomenal voice acting in that game. Yuri Lowenthal. I was so skeptical about Ben 10, voicing.
Sasuke.
So,
Sasuke.
don't even get me
Yeah,
started.
Sasuke.
Don't even get me started on Naruto, bro. I was so skeptical about Yuri Lowenthal. Ben 10 voicing Spider-Man. I'm like, is he gonna do a good job? And he did a phenomenal. Did you know? Fun fact about the game, right? Majority of the dialogue that Yuri Lowenthal recorded, he recorded in two versions. One a relaxed version for like when he's just walking around, just sitting down or just chilling on the roof or something, and then one like out of breath versions for when he's swinging or when he's in the middle of a fight and like he's playing they're playing vocals and audio over it. It's
So it's like if you're in the game AFK sort of, no, like just standing on top of a roof and he takes a phone call, they play the quiet dialogue. And
yeah.
If he's like, you're in a fight. I did not know that. Holy shit.
It was such a small, minute detail, but it was so like it added so much to the game. We're like, wow, they really, really took good care of this game because prior to that, throughout the entire 2010s, Spider-Man games were just being they were just being churned out for the sake of making a quick pound, and they just did not feel like the developers gave a shit about it. Like, I mean, you had a really good one in I think Shattered Dimensions, but that was like 2009, right?
Before the decade started.
Before the decade started, and I think Amazing Spider-Man 1, the video game tie-in, was decent but not great. But yeah,
I feel like that's where the Spider-Man games started to get a bit more serious because they saw how successful the Arkham games have been.
Yeah, oh my god, the Arkham games. Fun fact: Spider-Man PS4 actually beat out Arkham City for this. It's because Spider-Man just holds such a special place in my heart compared to Batman.
I prefer Arkham Asylum, not gonna lie. I prefer the smaller, Metroidvania type gameplay.
Yeah, fair enough.
Big one. But yeah, Spider-Man. The only issue I have with Spider-Man is that the world feels like the buildings just feel like empty boxes. I really wish there was more like a sandbox sort of vibe where you can go inside a building and
yeah. That's one thing I really, really was a bit bummed out that they didn't include. But aside from that, the combat was great. The story.
Oh, yeah. It's way better than the Arkham games. It's the best superhero game we've got.
The one thing I would say that Arkham games have over that is the quick-fire gadget system is far superior in Arkham than it is in Spider-Man. But yeah, but the thing I liked about Spider-Man is you got aerial combat, which it just adds a new level of depth to the game. What else? Again, the story. Again, as soon as I found out who his mentor was, I predicted what was going to happen.
Yep.
But I didn't predict what they would do at the end with Aunt May. That
was a big shock. I was like, no, they can't do that.
I was like, oh no, they're gonna save her, right? They're gonna save her, and then the game ends, and she's like, oh, I knew who you were the entire time. I'm like, I have never.
It's funny
I cried. I cried so hard. But yeah, go ahead. What you say?
How they skipped the whole Uncle Ben shit because we've seen that time and time again.
Oh yeah, we do
the same thing and just have Aunt May instead. I'm like, no.
They literally added a little meme in the game where you just press F to pay respects to Uncle Ben.
Yeah, the Infinite Warfare meme, Advanced Warfare. That was great.
But yeah, my number 4 video game of all time, Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4. Over to you.
My number 4 is a game which came out in 2015. I only recently played as a part of my binge of this whole franchise. And it's my favorite of the franchise so far. It's Bloodborne for the PlayStation 4.
Huh.
So I've played the Souls games occasionally before, not die hard.
I've never played them.
Bro, you should definitely get into them. I've known them to be like notoriously hard and whatnot.
That's why I don't play them.
Nah, dude, the feeling you get with a Souls 1 game is like unmatched with any other game in my opinion. But so Bloodborne was my first actual I'm gonna sit down and actually get this game done. And I played the game with my mate Clevis. Well, I share played it. He just watched me play because he's basically a pro at all these games. He's finished all of them, pretty much like done multis. I think he's platinum Bloodborne and like played through it like 6 times. But Bloodborne was my first introduction properly into the series, and I don't know, something about it. It's like the combat in the Souls game. It's like you have the amazing boss battles with the epic music, and the bosses are like telegraphed attacks, and you have to make sure that if you have to play right. If you make you get punished for making a simple mistake,
Yeah, I've heard
and
about
that's like
that.
that's the thing I like most about these games, where it's like the old games of the 80s, like Ghosts and Goblins or not, where it doesn't matter if you're if what your gaming skill is, you have to be good and on your A game when you play these games. And the reason why this game beats any other of the Souls games that I've played, which is DS1, DS2, and Dark Souls 3, the reason why it beats is the setting. So it's set in like a Victorian Gothic, like London, and it's like, so my favorite type of horror is like the Gothic atmospheric horror, and like there's so many times in the game where it's not even a jump. There's no jump scares in the game, but
Oh, you're a
you
Jack
see
the
it,
Ripper
and then
stan, are you?
of course Jack the Ripper, episode 4 of JoJo.
JoJo's Bizarre
But
Adventure.
gotta get another JoJo reference in there.
Of
But
course.
like, there's this one part where you get kidnapped by this thing called a snatcher, and then you wake up from a jail cell and you just see something walk past the screen, and that fucking scared the shit out of me. And like all the boss battles, you got Father Gascoigne, who's probably one of the sickest fights I've ever done. And then I bought the DLC before I finished the game, because if you finish the game, it starts New Game Plus straight away, and I'm not playing the game on a harder difficulty.
Yeah.
So I bought the DLC, and the first boss battle was called Ludwig, and I'll send you a picture of how he looks like. But this boss battle took me about 26 attempts, and took me like 3 days. But when I beat it, the satisfaction I got was so fucking huge. I think my sister came into the room with her kids, and I just gave them all hugs. I was like, "Listen, I beat this fucking boss battle. It's the biggest achievement of my life, and you're all going to celebrate this moment with me." And yeah, just Bloodborne, the combat, like normally the Souls games, you have a shield and shit, so you have to play defensively or whatnot. Maybe sometimes go attacking. But Bloodborne, they're like, fuck the shield, you have a gun, and now we want you to always be attacking, and you have to play so aggressively in this game, man. It's just the monster designs and whatnot, the story, kind of like with the Souls games, the story isn't in your face. You have to read like the item descriptions, and like people online make the whole theories and whatnot. The whole story of Bloodborne is so fucking good, and like the setting, the combat, the RPG elements, just everything, and the music is 10 out of 10. Like they played it in Royal Albert Hall in London somewhere a couple of years ago. I really wish I got into the game earlier, 'cause the music in the game is probably one of my favorite soundtracks of the time. It's so fucking good, and you need to play any of the Souls games.
Yeah,
100% play Bloodborne.
think about the Souls games. I've heard how notoriously difficult they are, and anyone who knows me knows I have the patience of. Well, I don't have any patience. My temperament isn't, quite frankly, non-existent. So if I played a Souls game, I would probably die like 452 times, and I would have to buy a new monitor every time I boot up the game.
The funny thing is, I've streamed me playing Dark Souls 3, and in one of my streams, I actually hit my table so hard a couple of times where I now have 2 holes underneath my keyboard. I bought this like mouse pad to probably cover it up. It makes me hella angry, but thing is, they are notoriously hard, but as you play the games, you just get better. You know how the games work. You realize attack patterns and whatnot, and I can't describe how good these Soulsborne games are. And I'm so excited for the next one, which is Elden Ring, the proposed open world Celtic sort of vibe they're going for, and with George R. Martin doing the story.
Oh, so basically
So,
expect to shag your sister at some point in the game.
me, hopefully not. I'm hoping that's not a thing.
Yeah,
Or like
he needs help. Like that's he's too obsessed with that sort of shit. Like
I think
seriously.
the reason why he joined Miyazaki, Hidetaka Miyazaki on the Soulsborne games, because he loves dying so much. All his characters in his shows dies, in his books die. So why not go to a franchise where the main person dies like a million times? But yeah, that's my number 4, Bloodborne. I mean, like, anyone who knows me, everyone who knows me knows I fucking love this game. So definitely play
Yes. So what we learn about Rafi is that he is slightly masochistic.
it.
That's it.
I'm a masochistic gamer.
Yes.
That's why I'm going for all these games so quickly. I've hurt my hand a couple of times, my foot, but it's worth it. The feeling you get is the best.
Okay. Well then, we're now with that out of the way. Let's move on to my number 3 pick for my third favorite video game of all time. Now, Rafi, this may surprise you. Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, or Heart Gold / Soul Silver. You know, they're both basically the same game, just with a different cover.
Nope, those are my. I'd say those are my second favorite Pokemon games. Yeah, 100%.
Because again, everyone who knows me knows I'm a massive Pokemon fan. Have been my whole life. That's one of the many things me and my brother still get very, very, like, rabidly excited about. You know, I was very annoyed at the whole National Dex scandal with Sword and Shield, but apparently not annoyed enough to not buy the game. so,
Yep, same with me. I
so,
complained so much on the subreddits and whatnot, saying, "Oh fuck this game," and there I am on day
so,
one
so,
buying the fucking
so Game Freak, you win there, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. They're my favorite thing. Pokemon games because I am a Gen 2 guy through and through. My favorite of the Pokemon anime growing up was the Johto Journeys, Johto League Champions, and Master Quest.
Pokemon Johto.
And I loved the Johto Pokemon Johto theme is so good.
Pokemon Johto. Yeah, I love the theme.
Yeah, oh man.
So good.
And again, unfortunately, I was born too late to enjoy, Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal when they were first released. Like, because they were released in like 2000, 1999, 2000. And again, I was born in 1999, so it's like I wasn't born with a Game Boy in my hand, but but I did again. I grew up watching the Pokemon anime. The Johto ones were my favorite ones. They played constantly reruns on Fox Kids. If anyone remembers that, you're a real one. Like Fox Kids was the one.
The OG Jetix. That's
the OG, bruv. Disney XD ain't got nothing on Fox Kids. Let me tell you that much. But I think
Disney XD tried to be edgy with the XDs and the Zeke and Luther, but nope. Fox Kids with my Jackie Chan adventures, please.
Yeah, man. Fox. Oh my god, Jackie Chan adventures. That could be a whole video in itself. I think.
Just talk about every episode, yeah.
Yeah. Our favorite character in that show was Uncle, undoubtedly.
Ooh, wow, Haiji,
Yeah.
whatever he says, I forget what it was.
But yeah, Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Again, Pokemon games have always been good with their music. So it just gave me this feeling of nostalgia when I heard the what's it called?
Title music.
The title music. The obviously the first. I can't even remember the name of the first. It's been so long since I played. I used to play it every summer, right? But I kept getting distracted this summer because of work. But I think I still remember Whitney's fucking Miltank. Oh my god. Like you think Dark Souls is hard. Like if you guys have ever played Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, you will know that Whitney's Miltank was the original Dark Souls. Okay, because no matter what,
Dark Souls before Dark Souls.
Because whenever it says Whitney's Miltank used rollout, you just knew. I don't know why it was so overpowered. I could have 4 levels on the fucking thing. It would still one hit KO me. I don't know what the hell. The game was frustrating in all the right parts, but again, nostalgic enough so that every time I play it, I have a smile on my face. Because it's just one where it just makes me feel like a kid again. And I'll always cherish every moment I have with that game. Because for me, it was one of the last like really good Pokemon games for a good while, for like a good 7 years, I would say.
I think Soul was after Heart Gold and Soul Silver we had the black and white games, right?
Yeah.
And then I wasn't a fan of those, so I carried on playing like Platinum and Gold. I mean Heart Gold. Thing with Heart Gold, which I like the most, the Pokewalker. Actually, it was like the original Pokemon Go. You just go outside.
That
was so good.
Them ones when you have the Pokewalker, you just walk up and down the stairs 1,000 times, and bang.
That's how I leveled up my shaman. I think by just going up and down. I love the Pokewalker. I do hope I still have mine around because Heart Gold was an amazing game. It's not my favorite Pokemon game. My favorite would still be probably Pearl or Platinum. Gen 4 is my favorite gen. I don't know why we got Let's Go Pikachu. We could have done like a Gen 4 remake. That's what everyone still wants, I think.
Oh, could you imagine the thing Giratina's World, but in like the 3DS graphics,
like 3D, like the Switch, like sort of vibe. That would be so good.
That would be mad. Like, oh, but yeah, my number 3 video game of all time, Pokemon Heart Gold / Soul Silver. How about you?
My number 3, and this goes enough for the number 3, is Witcher 3, Art Hunt.
Of course.
So Witcher 3, probably one of the second best game of the decade, in my opinion.
Toss a coin to your.
It's just, I love the TV show, but bro, the games. The games is what got the Witcher franchise, in my opinion, to what it is. Not the books. The books are cool. I've read the first book,
I bought the game on PSN store because once the show came out, they were very clever. They're like, okay, here's The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, $12.99. So I'm like, you know what? It expires January 17th, so I'm just gonna buy it now.
Yeah, the Witcher 3 is it does everything right and then some. It's a perfect RPG, perfect character customization. The story is so good. It's just everything about that game just hits the spot. It's like I played Witcher 2 first before that on the Xbox 360, and I wasn't a huge Witcher fan. I was still like a Final Fantasy boy. But when Witcher 3 dropped in 2015, I was like, holy shit, this game is something else. Like you start the game straight away. Just the graphics on a PS3, it was amazing. And Witcher 3 is also one of the games I've bought multiple times. I bought on PS4, I bought on Steam, I fucking bought on the Nintendo Switch because why the fuck not? But there's so many things in that game which are so good. So the combat, the story, and there was a mini game in the game. I don't know if you heard it called Gwent. So it's like a card. It's like a PvP card game. And that card game was so popular that CD Projekt Red made 2 games about it. They made a story-based game called Thronebreaker, and they released a Gwent official game, which has like PvP tournaments around the world and whatnot. But Witcher 3 is it's just I can't really. It's just such a good game. There's nothing wrong with it. Character Geralt is one of the dankest like main characters in gaming history. Eredin is one of the dankest villains in history.
Is it pronounced Geralt or is it pronounced Geralt? Because
Geralt.
Geralt.
Geralt. I always call him Gerald as just a way to piss off people. But yeah, Geralt is something about him. His voice, his the whole thing. Like he's got no emotion, but like he's got his adopted daughter Ciri, who he shows clear emotion for. And the best thing about the game is the romance options. Wink, wink. I'm not gonna talk too much about that, but that's a great part of the game. But Witcher 3 is 10 out of 10. Perfect game. Nothing wrong with it, and I only want a Witcher 4 now. Hashtag more romance options. Yeah, that's my number 3. Amazing game. Oh, and the expansions as well. I think the second expansion could be an entire game on its own. It gave me about 40 hours more gameplay, and I haven't finished the full side quest and whatnot.
From what I heard, the base game itself has like 50 hours of gameplay.
The base game, I clocked in. I did a playthrough on Steam last year because 60 FPS live, but I clocked in about 100 hours, and I still haven't finished everything in the game. I still have a couple contracts to do, a couple like locations to go to on the map, and right now I'm staying on 167 hours, and I still haven't done it. So,
bad.
The game is packed with content, and the fact that, I mean, when the show came out, I think The Witcher 3 hit more players than it did when when it launched. It shows how passionate the Witcher community is.
Does make sense. That makes sense.
And I have IRL Gwent cards, so anyone needs to 1v1 me. We'll 1v1. I've lost like 3 times. I've played only against Clever. But yeah, Witcher 3, Wild Hunt, amazing game. 10 out of 10.
All right. Well, my number 2 favorite video game of all time. Now, a lot of, people born in 98, 99, who are born and raised in the 2000s, they will probably herald this as one of the greatest games they've ever played, right? That is The Simpsons Hit and Run.
Did not expect that.
Bro, when you mix, the over the top thing like automated car chase lunacy of Grand Theft Auto with the over the top cartoony lunacy of The Simpsons, it's a recipe for disaster, but it just works. It's the perfect storm. That's how I would describe it. It's one of those games where it shouldn't work, but it does.
It doesn't make sense to have a GTA style Simpsons game because what in Simpsons is like GTA?
Nothing.
GTA is like Simpsons, but the game was amazing.
But what it did, it was really amazing because one of the things it does, which I'll appreciate any game based on like an already existing TV show or movie franchise for doing is it lets you explore Springfield. It lets you live in Springfield essentially. And so it sort of increases your appreciation for the show, if that makes sense. It's like, it makes the world feel more lived in, You have all these NPC interactions. You go into the Kmart, or Quickie Mart, sorry, not Kmart.
Kmart.
Kmart, that's a real place. You go into the Quickie Mart, you talk to Apu, you You go into you can look around Homer Simpson's house and see what it actually looks like.
That's one thing I loved about the game. Actually, being able to explore Springfield and like, oh shit, this is the part from the show. This is how you go to there.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's so cool. You know, you go to Moe's Tavern, you know, have a drink. Barney's probably there, but yeah, it's and again, because it mixes the cartooniness of I think the show with the over the top like gameplay style of Grand Theft Auto. It's just it again. It's something. It just hits that sweet spot. You know, again, a third person action adventure game, as you guys know, I love.
It's a recurring theme.
It's a
In
very
pretty much all our titles so far.
yeah, but yeah, that's my top three. That's my second favorite game of all time. What's yours?
My one is what a lot of people call game of the generation.
Oh, you got
It is God of War 2018.
oh
This game I did not expect to be as good as it was. So my first God of War game was God of War 3 back on the PS3, and I'd known about the franchise. Like God of War, it's a game about gods, it's a violent hack and slash type of game. Um, it's got a cool story. It's got a cool main character, Kratos, the son of Zeus, the god of war who killed Ares in the first game. So I'd known about that stuff. So when God of War got announced at E3 for PS4, it was kind of cool seeing like you thought it was some other game, and then Kratos comes out and you're like, holy shit, they're making a God of War 4. But I was getting it. I was gonna get the game because I was like, yeah, it's God of War. I'll enjoy it. But I did not know how good the game was gonna be. It changed gameplay completely from going from a hack and slash with fixed camera angles like Devil May Cry and whatnot and Bayonetta to going to a third person action adventure again. But in more of the again like a Souls type game with telegraphed attacks, you got combos and a lot of RPG elements. Like there was armor in the game, do
they had
combos on.
Stormbreaker before Stormbreaker was a thing.
Exactly, they had the original throwing the. I think they called it they called it Leviathan axe in the game. Like throwing that in game and then pressing triangle and it recalling back to you. That was like one of the sickest things I've done in game. It's like, whoa, you can throw as many times as you want and it comes back to you.
Yeah,
And like
fun fact, they actually the thing Square Enix actually got the guy that designed that mechanic to work on their Avengers game, which they've delayed, but that's a story for another day.
yep. That's gonna be a fun game when it comes out. We'll see what happens in September. But with God of War, yeah, I just did not expect it to be as good as it was. Everything about the game, again, a lot of the things I've said about the game, everything's just perfect about the game. The story is something I was quite. I thought it was quite simple, where it's literally just you and your son going to pour your wife's ashes from the highest peak, but the whole problems that happen in between of like just a simple concept like that, meeting this dude called Balder, and some the boss fights in that game, like there was these things, the Valkyries you fight. I didn't fight all the Valkyries because they were extremely hard, but these Valkyrie fights were fucking insane. There was like the Souls type combat where they got telegraph attacks and whatnot, and then the final fight in the game. I'm not gonna say who the boss is against, but Kratos' son Atreus, like he's instantly one of my favorite video game characters of all time. Just so many goated moments he does. Like he's just a little kid, but seeing his development in that game of from going from just a kid to a kid who knows he's a god now and like he's like a bit arrogant, and then Kratos puts him in his place. He's like, okay, listen, we're gods, but we're not fucked up like the gods are. It's like development and story and everything in that game.
And he's not like how in most video games you have escort missions, right?
Nah,
So
he's nothing like that.
He's not
he's
like
an
that.
actual useful, and he's a useful side character. Like so many times I've relied on him to like as an enemy's coming towards, okay, I need to press square so Atreus can shoot an arrow at him, so that guy gets knocked back, and I fight this dude. Like the fighting in that game is really strategic. Like you need to be on your A game, like the Souls games. And yeah, the music in that game is amazing, and it's my game of the decade for sure because I just did not expect it to be as good as it was. Like as I said, I was a fan of God of War games. I played God of War 3. They're fun games to me, like high 8s, low 9s.
Yeah, no. A lot of the things I
2018.
heard about 2018's God of War was that I think a lot of people who were God of War fans before that, they were surprised that the story was like as focused as it was, because apparently previous God of War games didn't really focus so much on story as they did on like hack and slash gameplay.
It focused more on the whole goriness of Kratos' kills. Like one of the kills in God of War 3 literally grabbed the like it's the first boss fight really. You're fighting Poseidon, and once you finish the boss fight, it's just the scene like with quick time events where you actually the camera is in the view of Poseidon, and you as Kratos you press L3 and R3, and you see Kratos put his thumbs into Poseidon's eyes. It's
Oh,
like you're actually doing it yourself.
oh dear. Oh,
God of War, it felt like it focused more on the whole goriness rather than focus on story and characters. I mean, the story and characters were there. Kratos, like, just being this edgy dude, but just the way they did it in 2018 is just so much more mature and more gritty, dark. It's just so good. God of War 2018, best game of the decade. That, along with Witcher 3, probably one of the greatest games of all times. But yeah,
okay.
that's my number 2. On to number 1.
All right. So my number one favorite video game of all time, and I don't think this will ever change. That's Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 on the PlayStation 2.
Why? Oh, I love the opening for that.
The theme song is one of the
Oh,
it's one of the best theme songs for any video game I've ever heard. Every single time I listen to it, I get pumped up. It's on my workout soundtrack at the gym. It's
good.
it's
This is
so good, and it was one of the first thing Dragon Ball Z games to have. I loved the whole open world aspect. It had like you fly from location to location.
Dragon World, yeah.
Yes, I think they called it Dragon Universe or Dragon World. Yeah, it was one of those two.
Dragon Universe, that was it. Yeah, I think Dragon World's in Budokai 2.
Yes, yeah, that is how it is. But yeah, it was one of my. It's on top of being a really good fighting game, like really again I think it was one of the first. No, sorry, it was the second Dragon Ball Z game to introduce the concept of beam struggles or beam clashes. So like when two people hit a kamehameha at each other, right? You have to like either mash the buttons or move the analog stick really fast to see who wins that exchange. And
it's Dragon Rush as well.
Dragon Rush, yes, you press a thing. You press.
You have to. It's like a rock paper scissors battle between the two players. Oh,
yeah. What again? One of the best. To this day is the gold standard of Dragon Ball Z games. Like there has yet to be one that has come close to how good it is in every aspect. I think Dragon Ball Fighters came really close in terms of like the fighting game aspect, but it's. Okay, but to be fair, comparing the stories is a bit unfair because Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 just tells the story of the show, and that's a good enough story as it is. Dragon Ball Fighters tries to be creative. It does with the story. It doesn't pull it off very well, but props for trying. But yeah, nothing will ever get me as excited as booting up that game and just seeing all the logos, the Bandai Namco, the Dimps, and then just hearing the oh, it's so good.
I love Budokai 3. It was one of my favorite PS2 games.
And so all four of you listening right now, right? If you've never played Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3, just YouTube search Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 theme, right?
It is the definitive Dragon Ball theme, in my opinion.
Yeah, in my opinion too. It's in Japanese, but you'll find yourself like pumped up regardless. Like it's so good. It's such a good game. It's it's a game that I'll always cherish in my heart. I still have it on my PlayStation 2. Every summer, I hook up my PlayStation 2 to the TV upstairs. And the thing is, the TV upstairs doesn't even support AV anymore, so I had to buy an AV to HDMI converter. But yeah, I boot that up, I play it, and much like I think Pokemon and Spider-Man, it makes me feel like I'm a kid again. And it just takes me back to those days where I didn't have any problems. Where even though this was before the days of like Dragon Ball Super, which again, even with the problems Dragon Ball Super has, I still really like it. Right.
Super is a great show.
It is a great. The story for Super, I would say is far superior to the story of Z. But Z is Z. It's always going. It's
got that. It's got that nostalgia.
It's got that iconic nostalgic aspect to it. But yeah, it's one that there is always going to be a soft spot in my heart for Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. I'll always love, the combat, the thing, the gameplay, the music. Oh my god, the music! One of the best Dragon Ball Z soundtrack I've in any game, in the show, in the movies, whatever. Okay, we don't count Dragon Ball Evolution. That never happened.
That was a great movie. What about?
No, no.
Grandpa,
What?
I'm so happy to see
Oh
you.
god, Justin Chatwin. Oh my god. I can't believe they thought that was a good idea.
The funny thing about that movie was how they treat the Kamehameha. They made it all like Avatar Last
Yeah,
Airbender.
they're
It's like
like
it's an
airbending technique. I'm like,
airbending.
motherfucker, it's an energy beam. What the hell,
No,
man?
the Kamehameha. And I remember when he Kamehameha what Roshi and he came back to life.
Yeah, I'm like, that's
What I thought was dumb was why did he revive Roshi, not his granddad?
yeah. I'm like, why are you gonna revive this old pervert guy and not the guy that freaking raised you?
Evolution's a whole other podcast to itself.
Oh yeah, man, that's like 4 episodes just pointing out what's wrong with the first act.
A thing I want to say about DBZ Budokai 3, that's also my favorite Dragon Ball Z game. Second being probably Xenoverse 2. I love that game.
Oh,
But
Xenoverse 2 is great.
with Budokai 3, what still shocks me today is how much content it had for the time. There
Yeah,
was a lot of shit you could do in that game.
Yeah.
You had the story mode where it was a Dragon Universe, and you had it was like a sort of like online system where it was I forget what it was called, Dragon Arena.
Yeah,
I think
it was like some sort of arcade mode. Oh,
Yeah.
one more thing I forgot to mention about I think Budokai 3, right? Is
Mhm.
is the graphics, because
Mhm.
even
Really good.
even by today's standards, the graphics still look really good, and that's one of the upsides of thing
Cell
cell shading. It's like because it's trying to make it because it made it look like the manga and the anime, right? So it's like, oh, these graphics are still really good even by today's standards.
The game, everything about it holds up. The fighting was so good. It this sounds cliche, but it makes you feel like you're watching an episode of the anime. Like
Yeah.
how good the game is. That sounds cliche as fuck, but it is so good of making you feel like I am Goku, I am Vegeta, I am. Oh, when I unlocked Broly, I lost my shit finding out you could have a story mode just about Broly. I was like, oh my god, my
Yeah.
favorite character gets his
Oh,
own story mode.
and do you remember when you're trying to do fusions? How you could get the fusions wrong?
Yeah, you can cut. Yeah, if
you put
press
the
wrong
mash the buttons in the right combination. If you get it wrong, well, you don't mash them at
become
all.
fat.
You come with the fat with a skinny version.
What another thing I liked about that game is just so many. Oh, on the Dragon Arena thing quickly. I remember because you could level up your character, and then your character would get a code, and then you could give your
Oh
codes
yeah,
to your
your
friends.
friends, and they'll get the character with those
They
stats.
basically play a com version of your character, and I was like, that's fucking genius. Like they made an online system out of having no online,
Yeah,
basically like that. And the thing about the game is like how many secrets there were. Like I only realized till I finished the game that you could have like stage breakouts. We could break out the stage and go
Oh,
into
and
another area.
yeah, and also in the world tournament stage where you just knock them off.
Yeah, and it's just ring out. Yeah, ring out. I think that's how it went. But there's a lot of secrets in the game. I don't know if you knew this, but you know in the loading screens where it's a Cyberman,
Yeah.
if you move the analog stick really fast, more Cybermen spawn.
Oh yeah. I knew that. Don't worry, I knew about that.
I think I broke a couple PS2 controllers doing that because I always wanted the red Cyberman to spawn, but fucking that game was so good.
It was.
Especially like there's a lot of RPG elements in it as well, like
There
leveling
was.
up your character. I don't think there's ever going to be a Dragon Ball Z game. I'm yet to play Kakarot, the new one that just came out. I'm hearing good things about
I'm
it.
playing that now. It's quite fun. You know what? I'm ashamed to say this, but the first wall in that game. Do you know who it is?
Who's it?
Raditz.
It's like what? Is it like really hard?
It's because like he's like level 6 and you're like level 3, and like he has like twice as much health as you, and like hits like 4 times harder.
That game, I was excited for it, but then as I hear it's just Z in RPG, I was like, do I really want to play? Do I really want to pay full price for some type of experience?
It is enjoyable if I do say so myself. It's quite fun. But yeah, my number 2, Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3
Number 1.
on the PlayStation. My number 1. Sorry, it's right. Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 on the PlayStation 2. You know, because I was thinking PS2. Yeah, on the PS2. Such a great console. But yeah.
My number 1. Anyone who knows me should know that this is my favorite game of all time. I play it every year religiously as a ritual. That is Final Fantasy VII. Um, just a little story about this game. This was the first game I ever played, first game I ever beat, first game to ever 100%. Oh, I think I was 4 years old when this game, like when I played it, and I beat it when I was like later on in that year. Probably I was still 4, but I don't know how I did that. I was a big brain kid back then. But Final Fantasy VII, just the the game is it's just so good. I've said that about every game so far,
Yes.
but as a game that came out in 1997, you just see how like the graphics, yeah, they don't hold up, but the combat, the story, music, whatnot, everything I've basically said about all the other games, Final Fantasy VII, but in my opinion, does the best. This like the villain Sephiroth, the greatest villain in my opinion of all time. Cloud, one of the coolest characters of all time,
Buster
and
Sword.
there's the Buster Sword,
One of the most iconic weapons in video games.
exactly. Cloud, like, there's a reason why people are so excited for Final Fantasy VII Remake because that game fully changed RPGs. Period. Like RPGs before that, there were some big ones like Final Fantasy VI, Chrono Trigger, and whatnot. But Final Fantasy VII making that jump to 3D with an amazing story, really deep story as well, and some of the best secrets in gaming. Like there was an Easter egg about one of the characters in the game who died, and I only found out about I found out about that in like 2011. And seeing that, I'm like, holy shit! There's Easter eggs in this game. People finding out now. I'm like, holy fuck! This is something insane. FF7 is just being the first game I played. Obviously, there's some sentimental value with that, but
Yeah, of
it's
course.
an amazing game. I stress to everyone that they should play this game. I've made a couple people buy the game. They haven't finished it yet, but at least I got them to waste money on a game I really enjoy and love. So
Yeah, but
FF7,
it's on PlayStation 1, so it's like 50p, surely.
that funny thing. FF7 I've bought 7 times, so no joke. I bought it on the PS1, I bought it on the PS3, the PSP, the PS4, the PC.
And now you're going to buy it on, on PS4 again for the remake.
I'm gonna buy the remake. I've already pre-ordered my first class edition from Square Enix,
Oh, of course you have.
and I've bought the game on my phone. I saved up for a year using the Google Opinion Rewards, where you just do surveys and then you get like 50p or whatnot, or like 10p. And the game was like 11.99. So yeah, I'm saving up, and I bought Final Fantasy 7 on my phone, and I'm like, yes, I now own it on almost every single imaginable platform. But yeah, FF7, beautiful game. One Winged Angel, I'm sure you've heard of it, but is the greatest boss fight villain music of all time. And like the prelude of how it starts, just hearing that iconic FF theme, and then hearing the Final Fantasy 7 twist on it, and all the signature moments of the game. Well, when you finally first meet Red, when you finally meet Sephiroth, the snake in the world map.
Sephiroth is a pretty cool damn villain. I'm not gonna lie.
It's just something about him.
It's
The
so-
cool, like he's just so slick. The long white hair,
He-
the fat long katana he's got.
he's
the
so
Makamune.
he's so badass that his entrance in the game, where he's like walking through a field of fire or something, isn't it?
Yep,
Yeah.
where you first see him is in the flashback. He just looks through the fire, turns around, and walks away. And
And-
seeing that on PS1 graphics, like, holy shit, this looks so good. And then as you see the remake,
Yeah,
like Crisis Core and whatnot, like how the HDness came in part.
yeah.
You
And
see
again,
all that shit
it's such a badass entrance to a character that, you know, I don't know whether it was intentional or not, but I'm pretty sure. Well, I'm just gonna say it was. You know, Benioff and Weiss for Game of Thrones. That's what they did. They did a similar shot for the Night King in season 8.
Yep. When they went through the blue fire, I think. Yeah.
Even though it's nothing to do with Sephiroth, probably is nothing to do with Sephiroth, but I'm just gonna say it is because
They definitely
because Sephiroth
Don't
invented
be-
Final Fantasy invented that entrance. Okay, I don't care what anyone says.
the whole cool villain walking, not the cool guy walking away from explosions, but the cool guy walking into fire.
Yeah,
That's what Final Fantasy did. And yeah, just all the characters in FF7, Cloud, Tifa, Eris. I say Eris. I'm not like a weeb from Japan who says Aerith. No, I spell her name Aeris, as it was in the English port of the game. Yeah, all those characters: Barrett, Sid, Yuffie, Vincent Valentine. Oh, all these characters. I can't wait to see them on FF7 remake. The remake. I don't care if the game's bad. It's gonna be my game of the year for life. Game of my life, just in general.
yeah, fair enough.
FF7. It's such a good game. First game I ever played. First game I ever beat. First game ever 100%. Proud gamer moment. Proud 4-year-old. Big brain. Yeah, that's my top 5 games.
Yeah. Okay.
Big difference of art mine and your list.
They're very, very big like
Yours
disparity.
is full of like franchises from other medias, and I've just got all the just the
Yeah,
game
yeah,
shit.
mine is actually, well, aside from Assassin's Creed and Pokemon, because like Pokemon was originally video games, but
The game. Yeah, you got what? Yeah, Dragon Ball, Spider Man. You
and
had
Simpsons.
Simpsons.
Damn. But yeah, like we said, we're also very very huge anime fans too. So
Hmm.
now we're just gonna probably have to run through it a little bit quicker now. But
Yeah,
uh,
games a lot.
our favorite top five favorite anime of all time. So we're just gonna say like
Anime slash manga. Because I'm more of a manga fan.
anime slash manga. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So for me, number five. Again, if you guys follow me on Twitter or Instagram or whatever, you guys know I've been rambling on a lot about this recently. That's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Right. Just off the bat, it's just the name itself should be enough to hook you in. It's just like, oh, I know the memes that come out of it, Kono Dioda, the to be continued meme. That is iconic. I don't care. No
When I
one's.
found out that was from JoJo, I was like, holy shit! Now I have to be a fan of this franchise.
Yes. Oh, well, what else? Just the whole concept of stands and stand battles, and the fact that they're named after old school musicians,
Songs. Yeah.
and the fact that in the dub they have to fucking change the
Censorship.
names for censorship. It's like I'll give you an example, right? I think in the latest anime adaptation, there is a character called Giorno Giovanna whose stand is called Golden Experience. And now, if you're old school music fan, that's a reference to Prince, the Prince song Golden Experience. So they had to change that to to Golden Wind, right? What else? So I think there's a song called Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap.
Yeah.
That's a song,
Crossover.
and the localization name. I kid you not. It's just it sounds like that. That meme where it's like, oh, here's my homework, but don't copy it. Like try and make it different. It's like when you try and reword something in an essay. So they went from Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap to Filthy Acts at a Reasonable Price. I'm not joking. That is the localized name.
I mean, they could have done so much more with the locally. They could have done I ain't gay, but $20 is $20. Like money for bad.
Yeah,
Literally,
dimes for crimes.
Yeah, dimes for crimes. I love those memes, but yeah.
But yeah,
Like,
my number five at the moment. Yeah, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. On to you, Rafi.
Same. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is my number five as well.
Hey.
That's my number five. I did do a change from that. Originally, my number five was Tokyo Ghoul, but I realized after reading part 6, part 2, part 8 of JoJo, I just realized how good that franchise is. So
Steel Ball Run is once that gets animated, I kid you not. You know how recently people have been going on about like I think Demon Slayer and My Hero Academia. Mm-hmm. Once Steel Ball Run gets animated, people will start to appreciate JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for what it is.
What I love most about JoJo has been how comes as stupid but bizarre it is.
Yeah.
So like going from part 1, which is quite standard, it's like about this guy who's had problems with his adopted stepbrother, and then you see their feud and stuff start from there, and they learn all these abilities called Hamon. And then going to part 3, where it's like they got stands, and one of these stands can, like, I don't know,
stop time.
The stop time, the baby who puts you in dreams, and the whole like memes behind JoJo, like
no one can deflect the Emerald Splash.
The Emerald Splash,
and everyone goes on to deflect the damn Emerald Splash.
The famous Kakyoin, I can't make the noise. Cherry.
You know what? Kakyoin's theme though is one of the best in anime. It's so good, right? Because everyone knew that he was going to die. Spoiler alert! when he faced Dio, right? But because his theme is so like blood pumpingly good, you think to yourself, "Oh, he's got a chance, right? They're playing his theme. He's gonna beat him." No, you think so. The most iconic moment. Cry Dio. 20-meter Emerald Splash, and then Dio was just like, no. But yeah,
that's what another thing I was trying to say about JoJo is like, yeah, the change in tones they can go. So part 1 was very the whole like standard feud sort of thing. It wasn't like generic shonen shit, but it's like it's a cool premise. And then part two where it goes a bit more wacky with Joseph and Caesar and the Pillarman and
Oh yeah.
part three introducing Stan. Then part four just going a bit like slice of life and having a bit of shit there.
Yeah.
Then part four just cranking up the gaydar. And then like you get to part 7 and 8 where it just goes into more seinen direction, the whole serious side, the dark sides, and of like just darker themes and whatnot.
Yeah.
That's the shit I love.
So
part 5.
who'd you say is your favorite JoJo?
Favorite JoJo? Johnny, without a doubt. I love part 7.
Johnny's great.
Jotaro was my number 1, but Johnny is my goat now.
I think even with reading part 7 and 8, my favorite JoJo, Joseph. It just has to be Joseph.
Joseph. I thought you would have gone for Jotaro.
Oh, Jotaro, I think, is the most badass one, but you know, something about Joseph. You know what it was? It's because like one of the first things he does is, oh, the next line you'll say is, and then proceeds to predict the guy's next line. That gimmick for him was just
so far he has had the most meme-worthy parts, like the whole holy shit. And
and the nice.
yeah, everything about JoJo is just amazing.
Basically, if you're a fan of memes, watch JoJo.
Yeah, you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not watching JoJo.
Yeah.
Period.
So yeah, that's our joint
number
5. So my number 4 thing is the 2011 version of Hunter x Hunter, or Hunter x Hunter, as some people like to say. Now,
great choice.
I'll preface this by saying it is one that is quite hard to get into, because like you have to wait like good 20-25 episodes before it really gets interesting. Some people I know were hooked from the first episode. Me, not so much.
It clicked with me.
It clicked with me like towards the end of the first arc, where I'm like, oh, okay, so this is what, because like a lot of people were saying to me, oh, it's so good and it's so dark for a shonen. Mm-hmm. So when it wasn't clicking with me, I'm thinking to myself, okay, so when does this get like good? Like, when does this get dark and good? Because at the moment it seems like a very typical shonen, and then that moment happens with Killua and the guy in the prison, and you're just like, oh, this is what they... Yeah, okay, I'm on board. And when the show gets good, it gets really fucking good. Like
York New arc is one of my favorite arcs.
Oh yeah, the one with the thing, the spiders, the Phantom Troop. Yeah. And Kurapika, when he goes to that one Phantom Troop member and just slaughters him. That's one of the most badass moments in any show I've ever seen. Right?
And Krollo was a dank character as well.
Yeah, my favorite. I really wish we got to see more of him, because like I wanted to see him fight Hisoka.
Mhm. Oh, I'm like, I got 30 chapters left up to catch up with the manga. Oh,
you know what?
You said that. Oh boy, you need to get into manga.
I need to get into the manga. And you know, the one thing I loved about the 2011 version of the anime is it had 150 episodes. Not once did it change the theme song.
It had like the variations of the OPs.
Yeah, but it's still the same thing.
I think my favorite thing from the soundtrack was the first ED, because it had like a bit of a slight metal tone in it, where it's just mad screamo out of nowhere. It goes really happy, and you hear, yeah! I was like, what the fuck? I did not expect that, but yeah. Hunter x Hunter, it's not on my list, but yeah, it's great anime.
Yeah, that's
probably the best shonen in my opinion.
Yeah.
Oh, not counting JoJo, but I still think that's the amazing battle shonen.
Yeah, that's my number 4. What about you?
My number 4, this is obviously the manga. It's Slam Dunk.
Oh.
Have you heard of Slam Dunk? Yes.
I have not, actually. Like, only basketball anime / manga I've ever heard of is Kuroko no Basket.
Kuroko no Basket is a shit. It's a poor man's version of Slam Dunk. And my Kuroko was like my first like introduction to like the sports, like anime genre, and it was cool. But the whole over the topness of some of the characters and shit, it was like, yeah, it's not my vibe. Slam Dunk is so good. It does the whole sports slice of life thing so well. There's so many hype moments in it, and it's drawn by one of the best artists in like manga history. I'd say he's the guy who did Vagabond. I don't know if you read that. That would have been in my top 5 as well. His name's Takehiko Inoue. Just the characters, the clique you got in that show is perfect cast of likable characters. Like, you do not hate anyone in that show. Even the villain, quote unquote villains,
in those scenes, you'd be like, oh shit, he's cool. I wouldn't mind seeing him win the basketball match. And I read this last year, and it's one of the best like sports media I've ever consumed because main characters is so good. Sakuragi, I think his name was Hanamichi. Yeah, such a sick character. It's so funny. It's just a great thing to read. Really. I'd say if you're gonna get into any sports thing, is that and Haikyuu, but I'd say Slam Dunk is probably the best sports thing there.
Huh.
It needs a anime like new adaptation. It's so good. It's so good. And the original anime had like one of the best openings as well. Its theme song is so light-hearted and joyful and shit. Slam Dunk's great.
All right. I'll definitely look into that. I know my brother's watching Haikyuu right now. I'm thinking of watching, I think, Diamond No Ace.
Yep.
Is that any good?
Haven't fully seen it. That's the baseball one, right?
Yes.
No, I haven't fully gone into that.
Only sports anime I've watched is Inazuma 11, and that was really good. That's not on my list, but
You love football.
oh, the dub was so bad. The dub was poor.
I love the dub, man. I love the dub.
It's one of those so bad it's good things. It's like, you know what, you appreciate the effort, but the thing execution was just terrible. So,
Yep.
So yeah, so you're number 4, yeah.
Slam Dunk.
Okay, so my number 3 is okay. It's gonna sound weird. My number 3 favorite anime of all time is the one anime that I will herald as the greatest anime of all time. I know that sounds weird, right? Like surely it should be my number 1, but it's, you know, it doesn't have that special place in my heart. But I can appreciate, you know, the hard work put behind it, and that's Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Don't you ever say it. Don't you ever. You mention the word Sword Art Online, Naruto, or Fairy Tail in my general vicinity, and I will slap you with something.
I almost just vomited as I said Sword Art. I felt puke.
But yeah,
FMAB.
FMAB, 100% one of the best. That is one show where I was hooked from the very beginning, right? At first, you know, it hooks you in with this story of, you know, 2 brothers trying to get their bodies back from, you know, whoever runs the alchemy world and that sort of stuff, and then you learn their backstory by, you know, their mother. Then you come across so many great characters, like my favorite character in that show, Brigadier General Roy Mustang, who's
Mustang.
Apart from having one of the coolest names ever. I mean, how do you not hear the name Roy Mustang and not think, oh, that guy must be a badass? But he also had the best alchemy in the entire thing. You know, the flame alchemy. His fight with greed was one of the most satisfying. If you watch the show and you see what greed does, and then you see his fight with greed, you'll understand why it's heralded as one of the greatest moments in all of anime history. And it has, I think it's the only anime that I've seen next to Black Clover where every single opening theme it has is a banger. So usually I think animes tend to have this thing where, you know, the first opening's really good, but the second one's shit and forgettable and not memorable, and then the rest of them are just like really, really bad. But then some of them later on down the road will get really good. But this one has 5 openings. All 5, you sit down, you listen to them, you're like, yeah, that has to be a good show. You do not have music like that in your show and not be a good show. And one thing as an anime, how even as a show, like a TV show, it has above any other one I've seen, is a satisfying ending. No loose ends left. All the plot holes, there are no plot holes as far as I know, as far as I can recall. Everything's resolved, you know, and you're happy with where all the characters are. No one's character arc feels betrayed. No one's journey feels unearned. You know, it's got great character interactions, great drama, and great humor. Right, just, you know, the Edward being short jokes is what they will never get old. Don't call me little. And if you guys watch it in the dub, because Vic Mignogna hands one of the best performances in all of anime, like, that I've ever heard. So much range from him alone, right, is enough to show you why he is one of the top tier voice actors, like, not just in anime, but like I'd say of all time. But yeah, my number 3, FMAB.
Yeah, FMA. It's not on my list, but it is the perfect, I think, gateway anime for anyone. It's got everything. And speaking of the whole dub for that, like the dub actually being good, it's a quick meme. That is not the law of equivalent exchange.
Yeah.
Dubs can be shitter, but anyway. My number 3 goes to this is manga slash anime. Well, I think I put anime a little bit higher because of how much it affected me. That is Devilman slash Devilman Crybaby. So I watched that I think a couple months after it released, or maybe a year actually. I can't remember, but it is one of the saddest. Has one of the saddest endings of any anime I've ever seen.
Oh, I don't like sad endings.
It is really hard to watch
It
because
is it like Your Lie in April sad, or like Angel Beats
I
sad, or just like
I haven't seen Your Lie and I haven't seen Angel Beats, but it's something that's. So do you know anything about Devilman?
no, I do not.
So it is one of the OG seinens, I'd say. It's really fucked up. It's a lot of killing, gore, other bad words. It's like one of the influences for like stuff like Berserk and whatnot. But the anime Devilman Crybaby has one of the best anime OSTs. Judgment. You should listen to that song. Such a good song. The main character. So I'll give you a quick like thing of it, synopsis. Like this guy called Akira, his friend from years ago called Rio. Yeah, Rio's like a science dude. He's like looks into devils and whatnot. Takes him to this club, and this club is fully fucked up with like devil worshippers. And then Akira gets possessed by the most powerful demon called Amon, and it's just a story of how he copes with having the demon in him and like people hunting him down, the other demons hunting him down, him trying to sort out his life with his love interest. Who it's like a will they won't they sort of thing. It's like they definitely there's interest with the two characters, but then you see how their relationship evolves as he becomes more. Because when he before Amon possessed him, straight up beta, he used to cry at everything, hence the crybaby.
Oh, what's his name from Tokyo Ghoul?
Kaneki.
Kaneki. Oh my goodness.
But then as soon as he gets Amon in him, his like physical appearance changes. He's just a motherfucking alpha. He's so cool. But then yeah, the story, the relationship with Miki, the girl, and Akira, it's not real will they won't they thing. It's just you want them to be together and happy. That sort of vibe. It's like you want the characters to be there, have a nice ending, but definitely watch Devilman Crybaby. It's so good. The manga as well. Manga came out in the 70s, I believe. And yeah, it still holds up. I need to buy the omnibus just for that, but Devilman Crybaby is an amazing show. I'm big into seinen, dark, fucked up shit. So that's why Devilman's one of my tops. Yeah, definitely watch Crybaby. Really good show.
Okay. I'll put it on the list.
The ever expanding list like I've got.
The ever expanding list that will probably never get any shorter.
100%.
Yeah. Alright, so let's move on to my number 2. My number 2 is it's not one that's as popular as I feel like it should be. I could be wrong, but it's Shaman King.
Shaman King.
Yeah, it's
very an old one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an early 2000s one. I think I watched the dub because it was on Jetix, as everything was. Yeah, again, it's very similar to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in the whole idea of they use like it was inspired by it with the whole thing because in Shaman King they use like spirits of dead warriors as sort of stands, like, and again the only people that can see them are the shamans, so it's like the whole only a stand user can see another stand and that sort of stuff. But again, it has a great main character in Neo, has a really great side. I'm just giving the dub names by the way because I haven't watched the original sub version. But it has a really, really great side character. Is a midget named Morty. I feel like, and he's beta as fuck. I feel like you give any character the name Morty, he's just automatically like written as a beta. And
Rick and Morty, of course.
Yeah. And one of my favorite characters in the show, Wood Sword Rio, he's in the dub. He's got this ridiculous Brazilian accent, and he's got a pompadour. He's a white suit, and again, he carries around a wooden sword, like some wannabe samurai. It's so stupid, but it's nowhere near as good as like a Full Metal Alchemist in terms of quality. But again, because it's one of those ones I watched when I was younger, and again, my number one is my number one because This isn't my number one. My number one will be in my number one because of how it resonated with me, right? But yeah, as it stands, Shaman King is my number two favorite anime of all time. And if you haven't listened to the theme song, the dub theme song, listen to it. It's so good. It's so early 2000s that you're like, yeah, I have to watch this. Yeah, number two, Shaman King.
My number two, similar to how your number three was, it's the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest manga. Nothing will overtop it, but because of sentimental value and nostalgia, that's why it's not number one. Nothing else has there, but my favorite manga of all time.
I know what it's gonna be.
Well, not my favorite. Sorry, the best manga of all time. It's Berserk.
Mm-hmm.
So Berserk, I started it in 2014. I think since then we've only had about 20 chapters, maybe. So what was 6 years later? I think last year we got only 2 chapters. This year we don't even know if we're going to get any. But Berserk is just it's the greatest. It's got the greatest story, the greatest characters. The main character Guts, he's written so well. His whole life is a tragedy, and every chapter we just hope that Guts gets the smile for one thing. Everything in his life has gone. He was born, like he wasn't even meant to be born. He came out of his mother's corpse, fell from her hanging corpse, and then got picked up by this dude who took advantage of him. And then you just see his character evolution is so good. And the best thing about Berserk is the art. I'm talking manga only because I'll talk about anime in a bit, but with Berserk, the manga, just seeing, like, you can see why it takes so long for a chapter to come out because how much detail Kentaro Miura puts into every panel, into every detail. The art is so good. The spreads that you can see in some pages, like how the fuck did he think of doing that? And like all the story elements, where like how Miura's like, you know what, we had a good run with this whole arc. Let me just change it up completely and fuck up the whole storyline into a new direction. Not fuck up, but like change it into put it into a new direction. Berserk is just so good. The the character Guts, all the other characters like Puck, Casca, Griffith is without that one of the sickest villains. He's like Griffith and Sephiroth. They have so many comparisons with me because they both got white hair. So I'm just like they're both pretty cool, but Griffith is a lot more fucked up. But yeah, Berserk is the manga specifically only is just the best. There's a reason why it's number one on Mouth because it's that fucking good. And as for the anime, there was the '97 anime. I don't know if you heard the opening for that, Ijaz. So Berserk is a dark show, of course. The anime for that is one of the most light-hearted anime openings I've ever seen in my life. It's so cheery and just completely juxtaposes and the theme of Berserk. And then you had the movies, which came out in 2013, which are pretty good, had a bit of CGI. And then you have the terrible 2016 and 2017 adaptations where the very bad CGI. I can't believe they actually fucking did that to one of my favorite franchises. The best manga franchise, they just butchered the anime.
So if you were to have another attempt at an anime adaptation, who would you want to herald it? Like which company?
Studio Wit. I believe the guys who did, what is it, Attack on Titan and Vinland.
Oh.
Vinland was probably my favorite anime of last year.
Vinland's great.
So I believe if you get Wit to do Berserk, they will do it just because they put detail into their work. You can see why, like, Attack on Titan's so good. The animation's so good. Vinland's got amazing animation. So if Wit picked up Berserk, that would be my fucking dream come true. And I hope they do it from the beginning because a lot of the stuff they've done is of the first arc, the golden age, which is like the first main big arc of Berserk. And people have been saying, no, we don't want to see that. I want to see what happens from there. But I'm like, no, let Wit do it from the beginning. Because, like, Berserk, you can have that being, like, it doesn't even need to be seasonal. I think they could do, like, one episode a week for a long time.
Long running, yeah.
Yeah, long running, not seasonal. I'd love for it to be long running. I mean, seasonal makes more sense with how Wit works, especially. But, yeah, having a Berserk anime, and a good Berserk anime would be great. Funny thing about that is, the guy who did Castlevania, Adi Shankar, whatever his name is, he's a huge Berserk fan himself, and he wants to pick up Berserk, but we'll see. I hope Netflix can get the rights to Berserk and get them to animate it.
No, because once Netflix gets the rights to Berserk, they're gonna do a really shitty, terrible live action movie.
No. If they get Adi Shankar on their helm, he even said on Twitter, if I were doing Berserk, I would be faithful to Miura. I'll do hand drawn animation. none of that CGI bullshit.
No. But what I mean is,
Is Netflix will fuck it up.
as in Netflix will be like, okay, whilst you're doing this animated series, we're gonna make a live action movie adaptation.
We're gonna have Griffiths be a transgender Middle Eastern dude, and then they're gonna have Puck be like some female gremlin rather than being a male like fairy. That's gonna do some weird miscasting or some bullshit to do their shit, whatever it is. I hope Berserk should never get a live action.
Yeah,
No anime, in my opinion.
and
should get a live
just to say, this is not some attack on women or transgender people. You guys want to live your lives, you go ahead, you do that. This is not we're not going to attack you for the way you guys live your lives. That's
we just want our adaptations to be faithful.
we just want faithful adaptations. Okay.
Yeah.
But like, again, I'm not going to go on rants saying how this person should be played by this actor or this person shouldn't be black or whatever. That's not us. He was just making a passing joke. Okay.
Yeah, I'm saying that's how Netflix works.
That's you. They just miscut. Netflix has a very, very, very long history of miscasting. I mean, if you guys watched that shitty Death Note live action movie, oh god.
If in that Death Note movie, if they weren't named Light and L, I would be perfectly fine with it. But the fact that they are Light and L and the fake Misa, that's what pissed me off.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you know what? They had one good casting in that movie, and that was Willem Dafoe as Ryuk.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe as Ryuk was amazing.
The problem was they completely miswrote the character of Ryuk to being the devil in your ear rather than being the guy that's just kind of there.
Just watching you and how you use the book. Yeah.
Yeah, because like if you've ever watched the anime, Ryuk is someone who's like a thing.
Just chilling.
He's just chilling. He's like, oh, I'm there to be a thing. What's it called? I'm just there to look at you. Just not in a creepy way.
Drop my book. Let's see how you use it. That's Ryuk. Whereas in the movie they made him like this sort of villain sort of vibe where he's like trying to have the fuck ups happen. But yeah, that's my number 2, Berserk. Yeah. Greatest manga of all time.
I'm surprised it wasn't your number 1. But my number 1 of all time, and if you kind of linking back to my number 1 video game of all time, Dragon Ball Z, right? That Dragon Ball Z was the first anime I ever watched. It's the first anime I ever fell in love with. It's the anime that got me to watching other anime. It's so iconic. It was my gateway anime. It's so iconic that the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games are using Goku as a mascot. I'm not even
on that as well. The Paralympic Games, they have Araki doing the mascots, and that's it.
Oh, that'd be great.
No, I think he actually did the Paralympic. He drew something for him.
No! I've seen that artwork. It's of the racer. He's got like obviously the fake, but the peg legs, the spring peg legs, and he did some references. So rather than on the screws, I think he put like the head of the world on one of them. For those of you who don't know, the world is a stand in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Zawardo.
Yeah, if you've seen the memes, Zawardo. He has the ability to stop time. It's really overpowered, and then just gets completely neutered by Mr. Jotaro. With one of my favorite JoJo memes of so it's the same type of stand as Star Platinum. And because that's just been completely run over by, I think, the shitpost Crusaders subreddit. But that's a tangent. Okay, so yeah, Dragon Ball Z. Yeah. Again, first anime I ever watched. It's one that I fell in love with instantaneously. It's one that has become so ingrained in our pop culture nowadays that everything references it in some way, shape, or form. Like I remember watching The Flash, like I think it's like season 2. Barry Allen, the main character, lost his memory, and his love interest, Iris West, is like, "Oh, you love anime. Your favorite show is Dragon Ball Z." I'm like, "Hey, I was not expecting that on The Flash."
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those where you don't have to like it, but everyone respects it. It's by no means a perfect anime. It's far from perfect. It's again, the memes of Dragon Ball Z of it being like 80% screaming, those aren't based on lies. You know, they like you couldn't if you couldn't say they're slanderous because that's kind of true. They are.
It's just the truth, really.
It's
Yeah,
just the truth. It's like 90% screaming, and like 10% fighting, and there's some filler in there, but you know we don't talk. We don't discuss fillers. Fillers don't count. Fillers.
Baseball arc.
Oh. You know, I actually quite like that episode.
I love that episode, yeah.
I love the way that they did the Yamcha meme at the end.
Yamcha, yeah, it was so good seeing him dead, like how he actually died.
But he still ended up winning the match because he caught the fucking baseball. But
I love Super, but yeah, Z's.
yeah, Z is just the iconic one. Like if you ask anybody, like who's not a big fan of anime, like it's the most mainstream anime. Like, you know, you have rappers referring to it in their music. I remember I think Soldier Boy had a song or something called "Bitch, I Look Like Goku." I'm like, oh, yeah, that's kind of funny though. I'm not gonna lie.
There was a Genius video just dedicated to rappers making Dragon Ball Z references.
Was it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
I'll link you that, but it's fucking jokes.
But yeah,
How many say
my favorite anime of all time is because of my first anime. It's my first, you know, my gateway anime. It's the one that I will take with me wherever I go. I will always be proud to say I am a fan of Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon.
Rock the train.
Love that opening. My number one, it's same sort of thing with you as where it's sentimental value. It was the first, it was my gateway. Dragon Ball Z was my first thing I watched, but I wasn't aware of anime as a media thing in general. But when I actually got into anime and manga and whatnot, the first thing I watched was Death Note. That is why it's my number one. Death Note, it's got everything I liked, really. It's got the dark.
It's very solid choice. You know?
It's dark. It's serious. It's not
very clever. It's a very clever anime.
Yeah, it's just good. I can't really say anything about it. I love all the characters in it. Light, Ryuk, Ram.
L was my favorite. L,
the signature sit down of how he sits with his knees up in his face.
I'm sitting like that right now.
It's it's such a good show. It's like, it's serious. It's like it's like having an actual TV show in like an anime format. You could see them do something serious.
It's very dramatic.
There's a lot of moments in it where I'm just like, holy shit, that was so clever. Like when one of the cops, I forget his name, but he pretends to act drunk and he falls over the balcony. And as I was reading, I was like, holy shit, he just killed himself. Then you see in the next chapter, they caught him with a mattress underneath and he slid down. Like, yes, we got evidence. You know, this is that, and this is that. It's like seeing all the rivalry between Light and L. That is such an iconic rivalry. And seeing L towards the end figure it out, and then you see Light looking at him like, yeah, I fucked you up, I won this battle. And then another thing with the crisp scene where
I'll
just
take this potato chip and I'll eat it. Yeah,
so good.
One of my favorite moments in that show was is that moment of like symmetry between L and Light, where where they're like, oh, I am justice. You know, they're both giving their speeches. I think it was in the first or second episode, where you know
you see the direct comparison, the contrast with the two characters.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, they both have like a similar mindset, and like how they're both very smart, 100%.
They're both ridiculously smart. It's like it's unfair to have that level of intelligence. That's why
I watched it. So I was like, I want to be smart.
Like that level of intelligence should be considered a privilege at that point.
And it's like seeing the two morals clash, whereas Light wants to clean the world but in a fucked up way, whereas L was just being like, okay, there's something fucked up going on, we need to stop this. I just love the character comparison. And yeah, people say after episode 25 or wherever it is that the show does tank after.
It doesn't just tank, it nosedives. That's what stopped it from me calling it one of my favorites. If it had ended really well, like if it had ended at episode 25, I would have been like, yeah,
that could be easily the number one for everyone. But
yeah,
even though people say it does drag on, I love the later on episodes after that with was it Near?
Yeah,
was it and Mello, and what all those characters was.
Again,
I,
again, the thing is with me, with Nier and Mello, is I just didn't feel as attached to them.
yeah, definitely the attachment was stronger with L.
It
But then
it just felt like they were trying to retread. You know, okay, I'm not gonna spoil it for anyone, but but yeah, I did not feel as attached to them as I did L. It's like
I get what you mean.
it's like
I mean, even though like the characters aren't like in terms of like development as strong as L, I still think because of how good the show was, it just made me love those characters even more. It's like, yeah, okay, now that things happened, we got new characters, and because I was young, when I was watching it, it just stuck with me for longer.
yeah,
And
Nier, I was cool with Mello. I'm just like, why is this guy here?
it's a bit weird, not gonna lie, but I just fucking love Death Note. I own every single volume of the manga. I even own the weird How to Read the Death Note. I own like multiple of the black editions. It's my favorite piece. It's because as Dragon Ball Z was for you, it was your gateway, and because of that nostalgia you show of it, that's why Dragon Ball Z is #1. Same thing with me in Death Note, because of how much it affected me, and it basically set my taste for manga pretty much. Like I prefer the dark, the edgier sides of shit rather than the light-hearted shonen and whatnot. That's why my top 3 are kind of like dark ones: Death Note, Berserk, and Devilman. So yeah,
As you can
that is my.
As you
top
can see,
5.
guys, there is a very big disparity between our two characters right here.
You're a big shonen boy. I'm a big.
I'm a very light-hearted individual. He's a very dark and twisted one. But we're both, if I do say so myself, quite the comedians.
Banter.
Very much banter. So let's go to the final bit for this episode. This first episode. Yeah, it's I think our top 5 favorite comic book movies of all time. So
True nerdiness coming out now.
yeah. So for me, my number 5 is a very recent one actually. Deadpool.
Oh shit! I forgot about that.
Everything about that movie is just perfect. I love it. Because the thing is, like, it's one of those movies. Like a lot of the thing, Marvel and DC like big movies. I'm just okay. Like for majority of them, I'm like, I don't really care. They're gonna be good. Like they can be good, But Deadpool, I really, really wanted it to be great. Not just because of it being a rated R one. I'm like, oh, so this will push Marvel and DC to do like more edgier things.
Into a new direction, yeah.
Yeah, but because of the passion and the love that Ryan Reynolds put into it, it's just, because him as an actor, like he became Wade Wilson, the character in real life. Minus the cancer and the face and the face hurt and the herpes on the face
And the killing people.
and the killing people. But he embraced that character from when he was first cast in X-Men Origins Wolverine, which was dog shit, but he was great as Deadpool. Or sewing his mouth shut was a big no. I don't know why they did that. And then when that test footage leaked in 2015.
Oof,
And
so good.
And so you guys can't see, I'm doing air quotes, when the test footage leaked in 2015, right? It was one of those things where I'm like, you know what? If they did a full movie about this, I'll be on board and I'll enjoy it, because like this was the character of Dead. Everything about that 5-minute preview was so Deadpool. It's like, yeah, fucking Ryan Reynolds, go for it, man. Fox, what are you doing? Like, and the best part was the outpouring of support from the comic book movie fan community, where they're like, yo guys, Fox, what you did, we want to see this. Call up Ryan Reynolds right now. Yeah, he 100% he'll be down to do it. And again, it's just everything about that movie. Just the whole. Again, I didn't like Deadpool 2 as much as I did. I still loved it, but I didn't like it as much. But that first Deadpool movie is just something special about it. Again, Ryan Reynolds, how much work he put into it, and just how it had everything riding on it. It was a movie that had everything to lose and nothing to gain.
Yep.
And yet it still managed.
Gained everything.
And it gained everything. Like it's a once in a generation type movie. It's a one of a kind. Nothing will ever feel like that.
There's a story I heard behind when they first got the script, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. They actually both cried. That's who you want to play your character for a movie. If they're touched.
Yeah, if they have passion for the role, even if they know that if it's a bomb, that they'll lose so much. But that's what the best part about it was. Like he was all in from the beginning. He's like, I don't care if this movie makes $5. I don't care if it makes $5 billion. I'm in it for the ride.
A little anecdote I have to say about that is my nephews, they're big like into the comic, as every little kid is. But I showed my nephew once the R-rated trailer for Deadpool. Bad choice because he was only 3 at the time. Randomly, he would go around in his house saying, "I'm touching myself tonight." I'm like, "Holy shit! I should not have shown him this trailer."
Oh, is that your sister's son?
Yeah.
She must have wanted to murder you.
She was like, "Rafi, what the hell did you show him this fucking Rafi? Why'd you show him this fucking trailer?" I'm like, "Surprise, comedy gold."
What's the age difference between you two?
Who, me and the nephew?
You and your sister.
I think it's about 8 years.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah. I can imagine her just like wanting to beat you with the butter sandal.
Yeah, a 16-year-old getting beaten by a sandal, for getting her kid to say, "I'm touching myself." But I was like, "Oh no, oh, shit." I love that. I love everything about Deadpool. I prefer Deadpool 2 purely because of the ending.
The ending was great.
Credits where he shoots Ryan Reynolds
for taking the Green Lantern role.
Yeah, Deadpool 2 was sick. Yeah. My number 5. This is quite a weird one. A lot of people said this film was boring. I really enjoyed it. That's Watchmen. Zack Snyder's Watchmen. I read the comic, and the movie, it's slow. I understand that. It takes time, but
bro, I feel like I aged like 14 years watching that movie. I'm not even gonna lie.
Karen, what is it?
It's a hard one to watch, but yeah, go ahead.
I feel like it adapted the story really good. It took a lot of inspiration. It didn't try and do its own thing. It was like, we're gonna base it off the book, and I feel like it was done well. Even though it was slow as fuck, I really enjoyed it. And I really can't say that much because it's not one of the greatest movies, but I enjoyed it. Watchmen, because I really like the original graphic novel as well, and then seeing the movie, it was a bit edgy with all the ridiculous amount of sex scenes it had, but I enjoyed it.
Fair enough. It's a very niche one. Like, I found that movie has like a cult like following.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, the same people saying release the Snyder cut, which, oh my god, that
I feel like that's the reason why Zack Snyder got to be like in charge, like the DC first few movies, because he was being faithful to the comics.
Yeah, but that didn't work out for him, did it?
Didn't work out with Batman. And
no, I'd say I think everything Batman in Batman vs Superman was really good. Every part of Batman I saw, I enjoyed. I didn't even care for the killing, right?
with the fucking car and just
because the
everything,
Batmobile looked so cool in that movie.
Yeah, it did. That's the thing. I liked Man of Steel as well. Even with how much shit that movie gets, how great it is, but
Man of Steel, I find myself, it's a movie that I keep going back and forth on. Do I hate it? Do I like it? Do I hate it? Do I like it? Do I hate it? Do I like it?
I mean, Superman is my favorite DC character, I would say. Oh, well, DC superhero, not my favorite DC character. So I really like Man of Steel. I even liked Superman Returns. That came out on my birthday as well. But I love that movie.
I can't stand Superman as a character. I just find him really, really boring.
Because he's got all the powers, yeah.
He's like
everything.
Literally, his power is literally playground rules.
Yeah, I'm the king. I'm the boss.
Yeah,
respect me. Anyway, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is a very special movie to me. The first Avengers movie from 2012.
Avengers Assemble.
Oh yeah, as in the UK it's called Avengers Assemble, which is, you know what? Avengers Assemble was, it's again much like Deadpool, had everything riding on it. It was I think it had everything to lose, nothing to gain, and again gained everything. It was the forefront of a 5-year project that Kevin Feige had, right? That was the thing that was like, okay, this either works or it doesn't.
Yeah.
If that first Avengers movie didn't work, we would not be where we are today with comic book movies.
Indeed.
It was like that first movie where I still go back every single day and watch the scene where they're all gathering in New York.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's playing the movie that dun 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 dun. Yeah, and there's the circle shot. You know, where the battle for New York. It's still one of the most iconic scenes in all of cinema. Not just superhero movies, but in all of movies, it's one of the most iconic scenes I've ever seen because of the fact that it's something where 15 years ago, if you had told me that there was a movie with Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, and the Hulk, and it made like $1.5 billion, I'll be like, no, you're lying because no one knows who Iron Man is. People know
Yeah,
Captain.
that's the thing I had with that movie, big time. I did not know any of the Avengers. I was like, oh yeah, X-Men's Marvel's big thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that was the general consensus for like X-Men's Marvel's big like franchise.
Yeah.
But I knew about Iron Man before the MCU because I used to watch those 90s Marvel TV shows, Marvel animated TV shows. You know, this
I
am Iron Man. Yeah, they had Iron Man animated series, Hulk animated series. I think Spider-Man animated series, of course, X-Men the animated series. You know,
I love the X-Men.
Yeah.
So good.
And I think one which wasn't as good, but I still enjoyed it a lot. The Fantastic Four animated series.
I don't remember how the theme went for that.
It was just some really, really weird, like techno pop one that it wasn't good. Like I'll just say that much. But yeah, because of everything it achieved in terms of serialized storytelling in movies, as well as just in general being a fucking fun movie. That the thing about the movie is it shouldn't have worked, but it did.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you have all these larger than life personalities clashing on screen. You know, you have Tony Stark with his quick wit, just sarcastic humor. You got Thor being the fucking god of thunder. You got Hulk being the Hulk, and Captain America with his stupid outfit in that movie, which just screams America, fuck yeah. And then on top of that, you had a great villain in Loki, and of course Sam Jackson as Nick Fury, which was one of the best casting decisions anyone's ever.
Did he say motherfucker in that movie?
He didn't. You know, it's a Disney movie. You can't say it. But you know what? I love the scene where the guy, where the ship's taking, where the plane's taking off the helicarrier. I think he shoots it with an RPG, and a second one comes off, and he just pulls out the pistol. I'm thinking to myself, Nick, you're a super spy, but surely you know that that's stupid. Dude, what the hell is a pistol going to do to a friggin', I don't know what kind of fighter jet that was, but that was a shield stealth Stark built jet or something. But yeah, my number 4 is the first Avengers movie.
My number 4 is The Dark Knight, the second in Nolan's Batman trilogy.
Oh my god, that is such a special movie.
So, what I liked most about the Batman trilogy, the Nolan trilogy, is that they're not. So they are superhero movies, but I felt like they're more focused on the crime drama.
Yes, they're crime dramas, but with superhero movie aspects to it.
Yeah, it's like the shit that happens in those 3 movies. You could see that shit happen in real life.
Yeah, so you could just remove all the Batman aspects from the movies. So to remove the costume, the cape and cowl, all the gadgets, and you'd still have yourself a really solid crime drama movie.
Yeah, it just worked so well, and obviously the main reason as to why one of the films, the Dark Knight, why it's so so high and people praise it so much is the great performance from Heath Ledger. His Joker was just so good. Seeing the whole why so serious and all that stuff, the pencil trick. It's the way he put his own spin on the Joker into this wacko dude. Like everyone knows Joker's crazy, but he brought this like whole fucked up side. Like, oh, you want to know how I got these scars? And his laugh as the Joker, and like his whole act. So like when he dressed up as the nurse and he tried to blow up, the remote control wasn't working. And he's like, oh shit, he blew up. And he's like, oh fuck.
Oh, it's like the improvised scene. Yeah,
he put passion. Yeah, he like to put passion into into that Joker, and it's one of the best Jokers we've seen in any sort of Batman media. It's not my favorite Joker because wink wink, something else might be covered up in this list. But yeah,
Jared Leto, right?
yeah, of course. I think about Jared Leto is I love him as an actor, and I listen to 30 Seconds to Mars a lot as well. I was hyped seeing his Joker, but then seeing how I don't think Jared Leto did a bad job. I just think the script and everything else in that movie fucked him up.
Yeah.
It's the main issue. So I'm hoping Mobius is good. So yeah, or Morbius, whatever it's pronounced. But yeah, number 4 for me is The Dark Knight.
All right. Well.
Oh, also can't forget something about that movie. Seeing Rachel blow up was kind of scary.
Oh yeah, that's the part of the movie. I'm like, no, they did not just kill the love interest.
Yep. And then seeing Harvey Dent as Two-Face for the first time, I was like, holy shit, your face is fucked.
Yeah. When we saw how fucked his face was, I'm thinking to myself, okay, but they're not going to do Two-Face in this movie, right? They're just gonna have him. They're just gonna set him up for this one, and the third film. And no, they. I feel like that bit felt a bit shoehorned in. I will admit, but at the same time, it felt right.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it wasn't. It didn't feel unnecessary.
Yeah,
even though you could see they didn't really need it.
Yeah,
like kind of an oxymoron, but yeah. That's why Dark Knight is number 4 for me. Right. Your number 3.
My number 3. Okay, this is kind of cheating because my number 3 is 2 movies, right? And that's Avengers: Infinity War and Avengers: Endgame, because I see them as I see those 2 movies as just one collective piece. Because
it's like Lord of the Rings. You can't watch one film; you have to watch all 3 in one sitting.
Yeah, so I think Infinity War and Endgame, I had to I recently sat down and watched them back to back, and it just makes the experience so much better. Now, the reason I love Infinity War and Endgame so much is again the whole thing of all those characters on screen at the same time.
Everything leading up,
or just the culmination of the story. And one of the best things about when I first watched those 2 movies was the crowd that I watched it with. Infinity War, I watched it as a midnight screening, and every big moment in that movie, the crowd just erupted. It was like I was at a wrestling show, man. It was like, it's like the Royal Rumble when someone makes a surprise entrance. And the crowd loses it because they're like, oh my god, this guy's back, or this guy's here, or AJ Styles, shout out Edge, or AJ Styles just debuted in the Royal Rumble match. Let's lose our shit. Edge just came back after 9 years in retirement. Imagine that, how the crowds reacted there. But for when Steve Rogers shows up in the train station and steps out the shadows.
Oh, with his beard, he looks fully like a Solid Snake. I was like, yeah, put him in Metal Gear movie.
Yeah, when I think Iron Man suits up in the Mark 50 for the first time, the nano suits. And my favourite moment in that entire movie, to this day, I kid you not, every single time it gives me shivers. It's when they're all fighting on Wakanda. They're all getting their faces fucked by the Outriders. They're all looking like shit's all about to go, I think, dreary, and they're all about to lose. And then you hear the music start playing. The da-dun, 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 dun 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 dun, and then Thor just comes down from with that Stormbreaker. He just comes cleaning house on everyone, grabs it. He has a lightning on his eyes. He jumps up and just yells, "Bring me Thanos!" Everyone in the cinema at that time collectively lost their shit in that movie. In that moment, it was one of my favorite movie going experiences I've ever had in my life. And
the same thing happened with me on Endgame. I went to see that midnight release as well, and normally I hate when this happens, when people clap in cinemas. I'm like, why the fuck are you clapping? It's fiction.
But then the Avengers Assemble moment.
Not even that, bro. When
he picks up the hammer.
When he picks up the hammer, I was like, oh my god, they picked up on that in Ultron, and now they're finally showing you can pick up the hammer. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That was one of the few movies where I was actually sitting on the edge of my seat throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, when it comes to Endgame, right? I think what's good when it came to the big scene where all the heroes were gathering from the portal scene, where it's like Avengers, and I'm just thinking to myself in my I even started saying it. I'm like, say the line, go on, say the line, Steve. So you want to say the line, just say it. And then he grabs the hammer and he's like, assemble. I'm like, yes! Everyone in the audience just jumped out of their seat. They're like, yes! Yeah. He said it! He fucking said it. I'm like,
It was such a good.
it was,
I think Infinity War was a better movie.
I
like it.
think Infinity War is a superior movie, but Endgame is the one that just gave me that feeling of, oh, you know what? Yes. And again, another thing to add to Endgame, it wrapped up all the stories nicely. Everyone had a satisfying ending. Oh, okay, maybe not Black Widow, but everyone else.
Yeah.
Everyone else, for me, I would say yes. I was satisfied with how their story is wrapped up, and they stuck the landing. You know,
Yeah.
how many times can you say that a big franchise was able to stick the landing with the final chapter? Okay, let's see. Game of Thrones tried it, and didn't work out. Star Wars tried it, didn't exactly work out.
They wrapped it up when they finished episode 3.
Yeah.
I love the prequels, so I don't like it when everyone chats shit about them because they're great movies.
Fair enough.
But the sequels,
Hunger Games tried it, even though Hunger Games as a franchise is just
that was trash from the get.
trash, but you know, even the books fans were like, yeah, no, that ending was horrible. You know, thing. Oh, what are the big franchise? Let's just not talk about Terminator Dark Fate.
The Hobbit. I felt like the Hobbit, the Battle of Five Armies was unnecessary. None of it really happened in the books, I believe. So I was like, why did that need to happen?
I swear there's a lot of things in Return of the King that didn't happen in the books. Like,
They just added, yeah,
you know, well, like, I swear the Ghost Army was just something Peter Jackson just threw in.
Legolas being there as well.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Avengers, that's my number 3. Those Avengers 3 and 4.
my number 3 is quite an old one. Superman 2. Yep.
I love Superman 2.
Superman 2.
All those the Richard Donner Supermans were just special.
Even the fourth one, with Nuclear Man, even that was whack. But I love watching Superman. But Superman 2, just Zod in that movie. The moment where I forget the actor's name. He's like, kneel before Zod.
Terrence Stamp.
That's it. I fucking loved like how it was just really fun to watch. Like even though it's an old comic book movie, it's so good.
It's
like,
so campy.
I've used that word, that phrase, for everything in my list. Like so good, but I can't explain it another way. It's just it was so campy and whatnot, but like just fun to watch. Like it's a light-hearted movie. You can have a nice bowl of popcorn and watch it. And there's even though it's like it's a bit old, it's a bit weird, campy and whatnot, it's just fun to watch. That's why I love Superman 2. It's my favorite Superman movie, and yeah, the ending was funny as well when how they just lock Zod and them lot into the thing in his base. What's the base called? I forget.
The Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, they just locked them in. It's like, okay, you guys been yeeted. Goodbye. You're stuck in the prison thingy, and you're stuck in space for life.
Yeah, it's great.
But yeah, that kneel before Zod moment, it's so good. Yeah, I love Superman.
Those old school Superman movies are legendary. Like
Christopher Reeve was the goat.
They aged terribly, but you know, it's a movie from the 1970s. It's not exactly going to look great by 2020 standards.
Exactly.
So my number 2 favorite comic book movie of all time. It's actually one you mentioned earlier, The Dark Knight. And so
That's your number 2. Ooh.
Yeah. So we kind of already went over our feelings.
Joker and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically the same reasons as you. So what's your number 2?
Captain America, Winter Soldier.
Oh my god, I love that movie.
Winter Soldier is my favorite Marvel movie.
Who the hell is Bucky?
Fucking hell, that moment when you see, oh my god,
when he catches the shield, it's just like he just caught the damn shield. No one catches the shield.
What I liked most about Winter Soldier was First Avenger was cool. I really liked Red Skull in that, but I feel like Winter Soldier is where they got Cap right.
Yeah, I feel like First Avenger is a criminally underrated movie.
I agree with that. I mean, they did start. There's a lot of stuff. It's not, well, other than Thor. I'd say it's the weakest out of the origin Avenger movies.
Yeah,
I liked Incredible Hulk a lot. Incredible Hulk was really good.
I don't know why that movie gets such a bad rap. I really enjoyed that movie.
Incredible Hulk. Yeah, it was really fun. Yeah,
because the thing is, it gave me what I wanted to see. I wanted to see the Hulk fight the Abomination on screen. I wanted to see, the Hulk fight someone on his level. Because like in the old Hulk movie, the Ang Lee one in 2003,
you had to wait 40 minutes for him to become Hulk.
Exactly. I'm like, oh, this, I feel like Incredible Hulk in 2008 got Incredible Hulk right, but anyway, as you were saying,
Yeah, so Winter Soldier got Cap right. I feel like the dynamic, like it was basically a spy movie. That's what I like most about it.
yeah,
It was,
they heralded it as a political thriller.
like the relationship between him and Black Widow as well was so cool to see on screen as well. Like how they both do their spy shit.
And how they have completely different ways of doing it, and that causes them to butt heads like a lot.
And oh, the famous elevator scene. Fucking hell. Oh, such a good scene.
I love when they called back to that in a thing.
In the Endgame, he's like Hail Hydra.
Yeah, I really wanted to say. I really wanted him to say, before we get started, does anyone want to get out? I had my fingers crossed, hoping that they would do that, but I'm good. I was good with the Hell Hydra thing because I'm like, that would have just added unnecessary screen time to an already long enough movie. Right, I would have loved every minute of it, but it is what it is.
That was a meme I saw of that scene where yeah, Captain America says that anyone want to get out, and then the next scene is cough, and then everyone's dead because he's got
Coronavirus.
Yeah, they all just drop on the floor. He just coughs once, they're all gone. But yeah, Captain America, Winter Soldier, and especially like how Bucky came back as well, is so cool.
Yeah,
I love Winter Soldier.
And thing about me is like with Winter Soldier, a lot of people, right? Again, because I was sort of like in the know with comic book knowledge, so I knew that what the twist was going to be. The twist was going to be, oh, it's the Winter Soldier's Bucky.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't know that, so
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was fun to see a lot of people react, saying, "Oh my God, the Winter Soldier's Bucky!" No, I'm like, "Oh yeah, you guys didn't read the comics. You guys don't know that. You guys."
I mean, it's really obvious once you think about it. Like, okay, yeah, he went missing. He didn't die.
And you guys didn't watch Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes, so you guys didn't know that, which is a great cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no,
forever fight as one. I love the
But yeah, no, Winter Soldier's a solid pick, man. Like that's one of those movies where I always like when I was doing my rewatch for what's it called, for Endgame, right? The thing that got me through watching Thor: The Dark World was knowing that the next one was going to be Captain America: The Winter Soldier. So
I love, especially his suit in that as well.
Oh yeah, the suit was great.
So like
stealthy, and it's like
yeah. There was a jacket I saw on Amazon. It was like £100. It was like a fully leather coat version of his armor, and I was like, "Holy shit, I need to get this!" But as a 16-year-old, then £100 wasn't easy to get.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, that's my number 2. What's your number 1?
My number 1 favorite comic book movie of all time, hands down.
Black Panther.
No, 2. Not to knock on anyone that likes Black Panther. You want Black Panther as your favorite comic movie of all time? You go for it. It's a solid movie.
Captain Marvel for you.
No, man. 2002 Sam Raimi Spider-Man 1.
Spider-Man 1?
Spider-Man 1. I know Spider-Man 2 was a better movie, but Spider-Man 1 was like one of the first movies I ever watched. And it was the movie... Spider-Man 1 was the thing that made me fall in love with Spider-Man as a character. Mm-hmm. And again, everyone knows Spider-Man is one of my favorite. Well, he's my favorite superhero of all time, and he's one of my top 3 favorite fictional characters of all time. Mm-hmm. And again, Spider-Man as a character is someone who I've modeled my life and personality after. The whole. There is no scene in any superhero movie, at least for me, that has been as powerful as the car scene in what's it called. Spider-Man 1 when Uncle Ben is saying to Peter, remember, with great power comes great responsibility. That line, his code of honor, it's so iconic. It's something that I've said multiple times that I live my life by. That
mantra, yeah.
It's a mantra. It's the whole idea that if you have the power to help someone, it's not that you can do it, it's that you should. Mm-hmm. It's a moral obligation. And
Spider-Man 1 was great. Yeah,
it was great, and even
human spider.
The humans are, Bruce Campbell in those movies was so great. His cameos were amazing, and the soundtrack of that movie, Danny Elfman's soundtrack for that movie, still to this day, one of the most blood pumping movie themes I've ever heard. And one of my favorite moments in that movie was at the very end when he's facing the Green Goblin, and the Green Goblin's trying to seduce him. He's saying like, "Oh, I've always been like a father to you, Peter. Be a son to me." And then Peter just turns around and says to him, "I already have a father. His name is Ben Parker." And I'm like, "Fuck yes, fuck yes." That is my. Again, I love Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man, but to me, Spider-Man is always going to be Tobey Maguire. We just pretend Andrew Garfield doesn't exist.
Nah. Andrew Garfield, I feel like his Spider-Man was good. His Peter Parker was shit.
Yeah, but the thing is, you have to get the Peter Parker right too.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, his Peter Parker was like doing homework on a roof.
His Peter Parker was some edgy skater dude. It's just like which I understand they were trying to go more for the Ultimate Spider-Man route, but they have to realize the one thing about the Ultimate Spider-Man route is that no one really liked it. It's like Brian Michael Bendis, like everyone praises him for creating Miles Morales as a character, but like they completely forget that he butchered Peter Parker as a character. Like, I don't know if you read the Ultimate Comics, but
Nah.
they start off really strong, but then after about 2006, it's just like, get someone else to write, please. You're just turning him into an angsty, unnecessary bitch.
Listens to Linkin Park too much.
Yeah, listens to Linkin Park Fallout Boy. You basically turning him into a, funnily enough, 2000s kid. An edgy 2000s teenager.
Has the fire T-shirt and this is the hybrid theory non-stop.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's my favorite comic book movie of all time.
Oh, also can't forget the memes in that movie. I'm somewhat of a scientist myself.
Oh,
Great meme.
Great
I love
meme.
the meme. Love Reddit for just making a meme out of every fucking thing in the world.
have you subscribed to r/Raimi memes?
Slightly Raimi memes, yes.
And you know what? To link to the Spider-Man PS4, the video game, right? I remember, I think, before they released the free DLC of the Raimi suit,
Yeah.
there was such an rage and outcry against Insomniac for not putting that as one of the DLCs.
And they gave it for free.
They gave it for free,
Yeah.
but I think because they always intended to release it at like Christmas time as a Christmas present
Yeah.
to the fans for being so supportive of the game, because the game did so well, but because everyone assumed that it would be in one of the DLCs because they didn't know they were going to get free updates for it.
Mhm.
So they assumed it was going to be in one of the DLC packs. That the Spider-Man 1 suit. And when it wasn't, everyone was like, "What the fuck, Insomniac? Why, man? Give us this.
Raimi suit.
We want the Raimi suit, And then they're like, "Listen, we don't." Basically, they had to write it off as they weren't allowed to by Sony. Which
By Sony, who
Yeah.
owns the fucking
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, because that's what Sony told them to say. It's like, just say you're not allowed to do it. And then Christmas time rolls around, and you see they send a tweet in the morning saying, "Oh, by the way, guys, here," and there's a picture of the Raimi suit doing the
Raimi
pose.
suit.
I'm like, yeah. That's how good that's how iconic that damn movie is for me.
Mhm.
But yeah, what about you? What's your number one?
Number one came out last year. I'm waiting for the Oscars to get the movie as best movie of the year and best actor of the year. Joker. I am a sucker for character pieces. I love movies like American Psycho with Christian Bale, of course, Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal, and Joker was just such an unexpectedly good movie. So it's like with Dark Knight, where Dark Knight's not really a superhero movie; it's a crime drama with superhero elements. Joker is not a comic book movie; it's a character piece thriller with a superhero name gone with it. And just the acting of everything Joaquin Phoenix did. He took that Joker role and just, as Heath Ledger did, like
Elevated it. He did something
just
really,
gave it some new life. It's the way he acted in that movie. Like, you see the evolution from him go to this low life who works for a crappy clown company, gets bullied by everything society. The meme is
we live in a society.
going from that and then to the scene where he's on the Murray show, whatever, and he's like, "What do you get when you get a sick man?" Blah blah blah, and then shoots him in the head, and then like just seeing his development go from this shitty guy to some big name who now all the thugs respect.
Yeah, it's a really nice play on that whole part of the Killing Joke, where it's like all it
Yeah,
takes
where he.
one bad day, just one bad day to push you over the edge.
I loved how it like took that scene from Dark Knight Returns as well, where he
Oh,
kills everyone in
on
the
talk
set.
show in a yeah.
Yeah, I just it was like the way Joaquin Phoenix took that role and made it his own. And the funny thing is that was that film not meant to be a Joker movie at first, and they're like, hey wait, slap Joker on it, it'll make sense. And then
Yeah,
it was like,
I don't think it was originally intended to be a Joker movie, no. But then they're like, yeah, let's call it a Joker.
What I didn't expect as well is for Joaquin Phoenix to do that good as a job.
Yeah,
Like when you saw the first makeup pictures, I was like, why does he look like a clown rather than looking like obviously Joker is like a take on the clown, but
but
you see the Joker, you
the
can tell he doesn't look like a clown.
yeah, he just looks like a guy who's in clown. Like it's a weird way. Like they call him the clown prince of crime
But,
because
yeah,
yes, he has a white skin because the acid bath that he took, and
Yeah.
so he looked like a clown, but he didn't look like a clown.
yeah, he didn't look like a circus clown. Whereas like in the Joker movie, he has the blue-eyed thing around his eyes. He has the red painted nose, whatever and whatnot. But just seeing him, like the dancing scene, how many memes that's created and how iconic it is, like it just shows how I don't give a fuck anymore. I killed my own mum. I'll do whatever I want. And like the whole like everything's in his mind thing, like
With the woman,
relationship with the girl. Yeah, it's like that. It seemed a bit obvious at first because like, especially in the comedy club where his jokes are really shit and no one else is laughing. But then still, when it happens, you're like, oh fuck. And like after that scene when he's in the woman's room and she's like, "You're Arthur, right?" And he's like, "Blah blah blah." When you see him go back to his apartment and you see the police sirens flashing by, you're thinking like, "Did he kill them? Is that why there's police cars going by? Or is it just police cars just going by because Gotham's in such a shithole?" There's so many like questions and debates that movie sparked. And did it happen? Did it not? When a movie does stuff like that, where like with American Psycho at the end, we think, did he kill the people? Did he do all that fucked up shit? When it's like a what's the thing when they say the ending's not so clear? I forget what
the vague,
vague, yeah, vague. I think there's another term for it, but when something's
open ended.
yeah, when it's up to discussion of the viewer. When the movie does something like that, that's when I feel like a movie is really good because it doesn't need to tell you what happened. You have to figure out
Yeah,
yourself. That's why
you paint the
yeah,
picture.
it's like with the Souls games. You never get told the story directly. You have to figure out yourself. And Joker did that well with the whole like, did it happen? Did it not? So that's why Joker's my favorite movie. Just the acting in general. If Joaquin Phoenix doesn't get actor of the year for that, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah,
He's been in so much good shit. Like
and there's a reason I don't want that movie to get a sequel. It's because, like you said, the open-endedness of the ending.
yeah,
It's like, okay, but then if you go on after that, you kind of remove, that special vagueness from the ending of the first movie. It's like, okay, you kind of have to fill in the gaps now.
I would love for him to be in the new Batman movies or whatnot, but I don't want like because I don't want a direct sequel
Yeah,
exactly to it. Like him being in the movies like Batman and shit would be cool because like then it's a superhero, but I think more Joker's more of an art piece than it is a comic book movie.
yeah,
It's like Martin Scorsese said, comic book movies aren't movies; they're
Yeah.
just like theme parks. Joker's like, fuck you. We can be a comic book movie by the term, but still be an amazing art piece. and
Exactly.
character drama. That's what I loved about Joker, and I saw the movie twice when it came out. So
I think I just
I
watched
don't-
it once, and
I just love the movie so much. I had to see it again. So as soon as it comes to Netflix or Amazon Prime, it's gonna be binged every day, as it is like with The Office and whatnot.
yeah,
But yeah,
fair enough.
that is my top 5 comic book movies.
All right, guys. Well, that should wrap it up for our first episode of the Earth's Mightiest Gyros podcast. So, Rafi, where can they find you?
I'm on Instagram and whatnot, Twitter. My handles are Rafi XCVII 98 in numerals. Anywhere there. Also be making a YouTube channel soon. And on Discord, same thing, Rafstar 98. So yeah, you can find me there. Just add me on whatever.
All right. And as for me, you guys, you can follow me on Instagram at IggySSJ3 or on Twitter IjazSSJ3. And again, I will be posting this to a YouTube channel that I we'll be making now anyway. So you'll find me there. I'll link that to you guys on my Instagram, on my Twitter.
Yep.
It'll probably be my name or some variation of my name. But yeah, that does it for our first episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know we went a bit long, 2 hours and 5 minutes, but
Damn.
hopefully next week we can, get things in order now. We just wanted to introduce you guys to us, so
What
you
we
can,
like and
what we
whatnot,
like. Yeah. So hopefully you guys can get a feel for the type of content you're in for, and if you enjoyed that, then I think hit subscribe, and I think please leave comments for feedback, what you think we did well, what you think we didn't. I'm open to that. Be as brutally honest as you want.
What you want us to talk about and whatnot. Of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. Suggest your topics. Tweet us the topics that you want to talk about. Post it. Send us on Instagram that you want us to talk about. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That will wrap it up. So I'm Ijaz, and always make sure to take a shit before you shower.
And I'm Rafi, and one thing I'm always going to say is read Berserk. Don't watch it, read it.
All right.
There's a website called readberserk.com. Let's use that.
Yeah. All right, guys. Sayonara.
See ya.